Oh, I'm theoretically live. You never know because I probably go live on different places at different times. So I did not just have my finger in my mouth. Not at all. I do not blame in any way. I do not blame these little almonds for needing to do that. I hope everybody is having an absolutely fantabulous week. I know it's that post Thanksgiving week, right? So you got the turkey haze going on. Um, and it's like, oh my God, okay, this major holiday was just done. Now let's get ready for the next one because that's how we do. So let me just drop my everyone comments. So Facebook actually tells people about us. Everyone, hey, we can do it. Sometimes it says no. Sometimes Facebook's like, nah, you don't get to tag everyone. It's lunch. It's talking direct sales and holidays. Say holiday ads. I mean, that's everything right now is holiday ads, right? Like it's just what it is. Hi, Dharma. I'm sorry we didn't get to chat longer too in Vegas. It sort of seemed like I was exhausted, swamped, or both of those things, and just thinking I'll see that person again shortly, and I'll talk to them then, and then that never happened. I was not always exhausted, actually. There's lots of times there's sometimes I just like the other person looked busy. I'm like, oh, I'll see them again later. And then you never see that person again. It's kind of wild. But yes, it was totally lovely seeing you as well. You scrolled across this because Facebook's being a pain with notifications. Well, I'm glad you found me, Jody. I also am getting stickers made. I mentioned I was going to make stickers, and then I just want to let you know I am making stickers. I have a design already. For those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, I had a call with Jody, and somehow the slogan sometimes you just got to rubber up and garden happened. And for those of you who don't know, I have a whole persona called Blueberry Sage where I wear latex and garden. And so her husband drew me this absolutely awesome little image here, if it ever loads. Come on. Nope, it's not going to load. That's okay. There's more than one way to load an image. As you might expect, open with Chrome. There we go. We'll do that. Present, share screen, window. Boom. There we go. Is that not cool, right? Rubber up and garden. It's a PNG, so it has a transparent background. So I'm totally getting this made into a sticker and just sticking it on everything because I absolutely love it. Love it. Hey, Libby, how are you doing? Yes, there was lots of overwhelm for all of us, Dharma, but now we've seen each other in the flesh, the proverbial flesh. So we will definitely talk more. That's awesome. Well, hopefully he has many more opportunities to get inspired, Jody. That would be fabulous. I mean, I will take more cool little pictures, so just saying. Hey, Vin, gee, what's with all the people never catching me live before and now being live? That's awesome. All right. So Danica, hi. I've been in Shopify. I've been in e-commerce mode this week because December is when I said I'll be running tests to sort between different e-commerce stores to see which ones are better. Because so many people say Shopify, Shopify, Shopify. And I'm like, Shopify is not the only e-commerce store out there. Are there other options that can work? How would one do them? Is there anything fundamental about Shopify that actually causes it to sell more products, and well, some people might just say, yes, it's different for me because I give very public advice, and I also give paid advice as a consultant. So I can't just be like, I saw a post on Facebook that said it was better, so it's better, which is not the wrong way to make decisions for yourself, but it is the wrong way for me to, of course, recommend things to people. So I'm doing a Shopify website for myself, for a client. I'm doing 2 Wix websites for myself. I have 2 clients using PayHip, 3 clients using PayHip. That we're keeping a really close eye on, and I'm going to ask them if I can get some more access into their accounts to dig into some of the settings in more detail. And two on Wix right now that I'm building as well. So it's just all e-commerce all the time, and I really want to see which system is better. Yeah, the money too, right? Like how much money does it cost to run these different stores? Shopify stacks up pretty fast because they have their base fees, and then there's so many plugins that all cost money. From what I can see, Wix has a little bit less functionality, but it has more ways to freely add on that functionality, which I'm pleased about. But I gotta say, Shopify's workflow system, where you have these little boxes and you connect them and stuff like that, it is amazing. I've only built one for someone else, so I don't want to show their back end. So when I do one for myself, and I go through all the workflow stuff, I'll probably do a head-to-head video comparing those two. I think when I think of WooCommerce, it's WooCommerce. I mean, WooCommerce is free, except you got to pay someone to host your WordPress site. So there is that angle. I really think if you're going to run PayHip or Shopify or anything or Square, you should just move your entire website over to that platform, because you could take your entire author site and just run it on Shopify. You don't actually need an author site and Shopify. You could just make it one site to rule them all. So I would, if I had a Shopify site that was working well, I would just basically move over the parts of my author website that I needed to Shopify and just call it a day. I would run both. And at that point, $27 a month is a lot more than like a really basic author site, but it's not crazy more. So it does help defray the cost a little bit in that regard. So one of my people that works for me, she runs WooCommerce for herself. So she has multiple pen names, and she set one pen name up with WooCommerce and another pen name up with Shopify. And she's doing a bit of a comparison that way to see what the features look like and everything. So I'm really hoping that very soon we'll have some really comprehensive information about all these different platforms and what the pros and cons of them all are. We'll create like a big, feature list and pros and cons theme for everybody. But it's definitely becoming a lot of fun. WooCommerce does also have some premium plugins that add up too. You're right about that. Every one of these systems, you will run the chance of needing something that's going to cost you some additional money. So that is totally a thing. Hello, Rose. Hi, Jill. That's also true. Your Shopify site may also load faster than your WordPress site. I could totally see that being the case. PayHip is pretty easy. That is fair, Jody. I guess it all depends on the cost, right? If you're like, well, my WordPress site doesn't cost me that much, I'll deal with that payment. And since PayHip doesn't cost anything, it's kind of nice. But PayHip, I think, takes a bigger chunk of the transaction, don't they? I need to. This will be one of the things I'll examine, right? Like, where's all the breakdowns happen? Etsy will also be a consideration too, because the nice thing about Etsy is that they handle your taxes for you. So there's that angle too. So if you're worried about paying taxes, Etsy takes care of that. Etsy does have listing fees, but honestly, they're pretty small. And the other thing that Etsy has is that your books could be cross-promoted as people search. So, whereas none of these other platforms sort of have a generalized search system, except for the Pay app. The Pay app kind of has that. So there's pros and cons, and you can run ads on Etsy for your book. So if you set your shop up there, you've got that going for you. So there'll be a bunch of things to consider. A little more per transaction. I'm going to pay a monthly fee. So yeah, I guess it depends on like where you sit. If your transactions are lower, you're not doing that many, then it takes a lot of 10-cent transactions to add up to $200 to $27 a month, which is like your base Shopify fee that you want to pay for most things. But you could reach a point where you have so many transactions that it is worth it. I just pulled that 10-cent number out of my wig, by the way. Etsy doesn't. I don't think Etsy has a ton of fees. I would never say that. I run a lot of stuff on Etsy, and it's relatively fee light and free to host on. So it's got that going for it. Like I said, there's a lot of angles. But like if you want to have a system to remit taxes and manage all that stuff, well, Etsy's doing that as part of their existing fees. So it's very tricky to do an apples to apples comparison. So it's going to be interesting. I went to work at CPA and can't figure out what in regards to what it does to income tax, not sales tax. Nexus for electronic delivery people in different states. These sites keep track of the states of the customers. No. most of them won't, because yeah, I would think that almost all of them you can like make it so you collect the state during checkout, and they might be able to guess the state, but I think if you really you'd have to get people to self-declare if you really want to be 100% on the state, because sometimes, like for example, sometimes different sites will think I live in New Hampshire and I'm in Massachusetts, and New Hampshire has very different tax laws. So yeah, my personal belief, by the way, is that it shouldn't be up to merchants to collect taxes from across state lines. It should be up to the state should require their citizens to pay that money, and they never will, which is why they make us do it, right? Because we have more stake. But regarding that, Ella, Etsy would be one angle, because Etsy will handle all that for you. So there's that going for you too. I mean, even like for example, if you sell to someone in Canada, you're, according to Canadian law, you're legally required to have a GST tax number and remit GST to the Canadian government. And the same thing goes for the UK and the EU and all that. And at a certain point, I'm just like, hey, governments around the world, I don't live there. It's not my job to collect taxes on your behalf. Like, if you want to pay me to be your tax collector, sure, but I ain't doing it for free. That's how I feel about that. Yes, Ella, basically, most people don't give a shit. And a lot of states do actually have thresholds too. Like, they don't want to be processing your measly $5 tax amount either. You know, they say thresholds for how much you have to sell to their states, and countries have this as well before you collect taxes. Is there a threshold for Canada? There might be a threshold for Canada. I honestly don't know. My personal belief is, even as a Canadian citizen, my personal belief is it's not my responsibility to collect taxes for your citizens while I'm not in your country, Canada. It's like, when do governments think they can start making laws for the rest of the planet? Come on. But I mean, yeah, like these are all considerations, right? Like which ones do this? How easy is it to do it? It's going to take a lot to figure it all out. But I will say that, so like Shopify, I would say, and I haven't actually done theming in PayHip, so I can't say how easy PayHip is. Shopify has a terrible theme customization system. It's like 2005 called Shopify, and they want your theme customizer back. Wix wins hands down with their theme customization that you can do with Wix. They're the clear winner there. When it comes to like ease of use and functionality, obviously WooCommerce is going to give you the biggest amount of flexibility because you can do anything in WooCommerce. But Wix is pretty powerful too, and I like them quite a bit for that. Like they have a drag and drop interface for adding things and building your designs and stuff like that. And Shopify's interface for building your site is not significantly better than like MailChimp's. You know, it's like it's not the best. So yeah. Oh, that's good, Jody. And thanks for putting your name. Although your name shows up for me, Jody. You're one of the few. You and Ella. You and Ella and Rose Suleiman, Libby, Danica, Vin. You guys all, your names all show up. Everybody else is just Facebook user. I can almost always spot Dharma. I'm like, okay, yeah, Dharma's tech nerd. So I can tell tech nerd things. Thank you, Maggie. It's a bit of a tricky wig because sometimes if the lighting's bad, it makes my face look really craggy. But I got the lighting just right now. I do appreciate that though, Jody. That is super handy. Whoever said does my name show up is a no. Nope, Jill, your name does not show up. Hey, Carmen, how are you doing today? Yeah, I don't know why yours doesn't show up, honey, because I know you've done the thing. So yeah, so the biggest thing, the biggest thing I'm really liking with Shopify thus far is the workflow builder, and I suspect that their workflow builder, were like, if this happened, do this thing. I suspect it's the best one there is. So, for example, I'm doing an experiment with a client where it's like a 7-book series. No, sorry, there's a bunch of experiments, but one of them is for a 6-book series. And so I'm going to be running ads to a 5-book bundle with a 1-book upsell to get the 6th book, and then another ad to a 6-book bundle and see which one works better, which one converts better, which one gets us the most sales. And what I'm kind of curious to see is like which one of those will work better. Will we get enough people doing the upsell to add in book number 6 that we make more money that way, or will the 6 books be more compelling and we're going to make more money that way? But the interesting thing I can do is I can say, like, okay, if someone has purchased this 5-book bundle and they also purchased book 6, so they took advantage of the upsell, then in 2 weeks, send them an email pimping this other bundle of books. However, if they bought book 6, if they bought the 5 books and did not buy book 6, then in 1 week, send them an email suggesting that they get the 6th book in the series. And then if someone buys the 6th book on its own, there's another workflow. If someone buys that 6th book by itself, then send them the email for that other series. So I can like make all these sort of like complicated workflows, and I can kind of do it all on one screen too. And kind of like you actually create like this drag and drop map of things. It's pretty neat, and I like that a lot. I'm actually quite excited about that particular feature. And if you're shipping things, it can even like be like if it's been delivered, like if you ship them something and it's been delivered, send them the email for a survey or something like that. Like there's so many conditions. It's actually a little bit overwhelming. It took a bit to understand how to like parse through all the different pieces of information I have for making conditions. Like I can say like, if the order value is greater than this, or the number of things in the order is greater than this, there's all sorts of things you can do in making those. Is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm feeling that, Dharma. I'm feeling that the upsells and flows are the real difference maker. Now you can do the upsells and stuff like that on WooCommerce too. Like my employee Eliza, who is testing both for herself. She does upsells on WooCommerce, and that's where she makes the majority of her money is in profit, is that upsell. But I do like it. One of the things I learned very quickly though, so there's 2 types of upsells you can do basically. You can do an upsell like on the product page, so like right above the buy now button, there'll be a little thing saying also add in this book, and there's a little checkbox. Or the other kind is they go to the cart checkout page and a thing pops up saying, but wait, you could get this other thing as well. And what was really interesting is that if you have PayPal enabled as a payment format, and they choose PayPal right away, like they basically like pay with PayPal, they skip that cart upsell, and it never pushes things that way. So it makes sense why you see a lot of Shopify websites where the option to pay with PayPal is not enabled on the actual product page. It's only available at the very end of the checkout process, so that you make sure that PayPal doesn't interrupt the flow earlier and stop you from getting that upsell in. Does WooCommerce integrate with BookFunnel? Yes. Basically, WordPress integrates with Zapier, and Zapier integrates with BookFunnel. So it's pretty straightforward. Anything that can integrate with Zapier can integrate with BookFunnel. So that's kind of your easy way around that. Wix and Shopify both integrate with BookVault. BookVault is the new hotness when it comes to print on demand print books for your people. So you can actually hook up BookVault to your Shopify store or your Wix store, and if someone orders a print book, they handle the printing and the shipping all magically. And BookVault also works with Zapier, so you can just create a Zap off your WooCommerce site. The one thing to keep in mind though is that Zapier also has a monthly subscription fee. I think they're like $10 a month or something like that. So that's another part of it too, right? Like all the little things that can add in. Yeah, but PayHip should integrate with Zapier, Jody. I'd be shocked if PayHip didn't integrate with Zapier. So sharing the DIY book design site, sharing my videos. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy that was useful for you, Ashley. Yeah, it is. I use it all the time for ads. Totally. That is really good. Oh, you're on your pen name before, Ashley. That makes sense. Why Ella disappeared. But I love that you made more money in royalties during a hard month too. So that's pretty awesome. Oh, I haven't heard about Zapier until 2 minutes ago. Yeah, that you have. And you spelled it right. Look at that. It's like an if this then that. That's actually if this then that is a competitor of Zapier's, but it's the same kind of idea. And you can zap stuff anywhere. You can zap stuff to like an email. You could zap stuff to a Google Drive spreadsheet. there's everything integrates with Zapier. You can like make it so whenever you get an order, your house increases by 2 degrees on your smart thermometer or something like that. Like you can kind of get crazy. For advanced class. Is the advanced class next week? Cool. Something that we're going to be doing in the new year, by the way, is we're going to do a live webinar, which is going to be build a Shopify site with Mallory. So you'll actually get to just come along and you can either watch me build a Shopify site or you can build along with me, whichever way you want to go. You're not going to be like, I'm not going to be like checking in on you to make sure you're actually doing it. But yeah, I'm just going to live build a Shopify website in about 2.5 hours. And what my plan will be is I'll do like what's called a vertical slice. So it'll be a site that sells like one bundle with 2 upsell paths and all of the emails and other logic built into it. And that should be something I could do in 2 hours. Should be able to make a full website from beginning to end in that amount of time. I mean, and by full, I mean like fully functional, not like all the books and authors ever written being on there. So yeah, so that'll be something that we'll do. That'll be a paid webinar, obviously. I'm not sure what we'll price it at, but it'll be pretty affordable. I think it'll be a great way to tell people like understand what they got to do to get their feet wet with the whole thing as well. Sometimes I think there might be some things that are really obvious to me that maybe not everyone would get, so I think it'd be useful. That's not to say anybody else is dumb and I'm super smart. It's just that I've built a lot of websites, so I kind of like I understand the lingo at first glance. Oh, that's awesome, Yasmin. Congrats. Someone said this is great content. Thanks. But I think that must be on my personal profile. You on Facebook. I'm kind of curious who said that. Comment. Oh, look at that. A bunch of these comments are actually on my other one. That's right. The person said this is great content. Thanks. It's not appearing anywhere, but thank you, person who said that. So yeah, so that's all the Shopify and direct sales comments I have at the moment. I think the other thing I want to talk about briefly was just like holiday ads. Who has holiday ads planned? Who has holiday releases planned? Oh, actually, interesting little thing I've discovered, and I haven't been super scientific about this yet, but I've got some preliminary information. If your audience is primarily women, I said this at the beginning as well, I think I said it, or I was saying it to someone else in a call earlier today. But anyway, if your audience is primarily women, your reads went down last week. If your audience was primarily men, your reads went up last week. So just something that I've spotted. Whose ads are still Boxing Day? This is like the best time of year to run ads, Dharma. I mean, this past weekend wasn't, but I would strongly consider running ads in December. People who have ads that are even just like a little bit profitable in December, you get those impressions in. You get people seeing your books and whatnot. And then come January, when people have time and all those Amazon gift cards, or whatever gift cards, because you're wide, then you sell books. But if you turn your ads off through December entirely, and you're not like sort of sharing the news. Now you could do organic things; it doesn't have to be paid advertising, I suppose. But you're kind of behind the 8 ball against all the people who left their ads running in December. So going wide mid-December and doing a sale on 18 book series, that's awesome, Yasmin. That's going to be great. It's super exciting. Yeah, I mean, you are actually pretty good at building websites, Jill. So I don't know that's the best. You're the best person necessarily, but it's possible. I mean, you probably will come up with questions that I would think of. So even if you don't get them all, you'll definitely get some. He's been telling the past few months, my sales are increasing, announcing every books are coming out of KU. So that might be the reason. Maybe. Usually when you announce your books are coming out of KU, you get more reads out of that, to be honest. So hard to say. What do you write? Oh, that was Jody that said that. I thought that was, for some reason, I thought it was Yasmin that said that. I got confused. I know what you write, Jody. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I still kind of wonder about that, Jody. Maybe that is normal. Maybe people are like, oh, it's coming out of KU, so I'm just not going to bother starting. That might be what's happening, actually. Yeah, I can see that. December 25th, when you start running 850 ads towards series. Carmen, is it on pre-order? So on pre-order, I would probably get those ads up and running by like the 21st, just so you can like have a $5 a day ad running to the pre-order and just be testing it to making sure you get good results and that you can prune out whatever's expensive and everything. Apologies if it's running. Let's go through third parties. It's been so far, so. Yeah, well, this last week was pretty rough, Libby. Things, I'm already seeing cost per click starting to come down quite a bit for people. And so, of course, they're getting more clicks and more sales. Basically from the Monday, the week of Thanksgiving through till roughly Wednesday to Thursday, the week after Thanksgiving is always the most expensive, most competitive time of the year to run ads. I love the fact you're releasing on December 25th, by the way, Carmen. It's a great plan. And if you write anything romance or romance adjacent, there's a Zoe Bub on the 27th. So either get your releases out before Christmas or on Christmas. So like I would say up to the 25th, maybe the 26th. And then I would not do any releases in romance or basically genres that the Zoe Bub targets heavily, which is mostly romance. Probably until like Wednesday, the week after the new year. Yeah, that makes sense, Jody. Totally. That makes sense, Yasmin. I like that. Actually, I don't think it's too soon to jump into that class. I think it might, if you've already got ads running and you kind of understand them, this is going to give you some next level stuff. And you'll get the recordings. You can also always refer back to it later when you have more experience. Because I probably won't be running an advanced ads class again until sometime in the spring. So that'll be a thing to keep in mind. PWA spent a lot of money advertising to me. What is PWA? And hi, Kelly. Sorry, I don't know what that is. All right, I think I'm all caught up in comments. I got them coming in multiple ways right now. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Christmas advertising. Be aware of the Zoe Bub. I personally think that if you have profitable ads, I would leave them running, maybe lower the spend during Christmas if you're worried, but if they're profitable, I would leave them running. Cost per click does come down a bit through the middle of December. It'll peak a bit again right before Christmas, and then it'll just become crazy cheap in January. So if you are concerned about expenses in that regard, then January will get a lot better. No, you're absolutely right, Jasmine. Being with one vendor is scary, which is why I'm going to be going direct ultimately with everything as well. Maybe like my latest series, I'll leave in KU for all my old timey readers, but everything else is just going to go direct. So, because there's trying to think if I should leave it too much stuff in KU just for experimentation purposes, but I don't think so. I think pretty much everything is going to go direct. So I'm going to do it. Oh, Pro Writing Aid? Oh, there it is. Yep, Pro Writing Aid. That's interesting. They've done that, Kelly. Let's see, someone said, I'm using science to try to books to revamp my flows. Oh, okay, Dharma, that makes sense. I guess I would. Then your plan makes sense, given that you got so much stuff shifting. I tell you, it's been taking me a lot of time to get ready to do all this store stuff testing out because I recently, well, not too recently, but I changed book one in my one of my main series to have different styling and different typography than before. And I'm doing all these bundles up, and so I'm updating my back matter because I might as well. I'm making new EPUBs, and I'm updating all the covers to match the new typography. So I did like 14 covers yesterday. I made all the bundle images, and then today I had to update back matter and just a host of things and get like all the different formats I need for images. So I made this a lot harder on myself by making it so I had to do like a ton of cover work as well. But normally it shouldn't be too hard. But when you do stores, though, bundles are the way to go. And when you do a bundle, you really want to show all the individual book covers separately. You don't want to show a 3D box set image or anything like that. You want to show, like if it's a 6-book bundle, you want to show 6 book covers there. because you're pimping value, and it's a better way to pimp value. It's just not something we can do on Amazon. They don't do. You know, I've never actually tried. I wonder if I could get away with showing a bunch of individual book covers, like in little Kindles on an omnibus. I'm going to try that. That'd be cool. Let's see. Joji says, amping up to go direct. My first 3 books are at KU coming up December 11th. Yeah, I think it's worth trying, Jody, you know? And I think readers are becoming more and more comfortable with it too. So I think this is the time. This is the time to do it. Huh. I feel like I've said everything I wanted to say. Does anyone have like random questions for me or anything like that, or my thoughts on anything that's going on? I'm still unconvinced that Facebook is going to do away with our ability to target audiences, and I don't think they're going to force us to use their automatic targeting system. They are forcing us now to use Advantage Plus detailed targeting, which is kind of a pain. It used to be a separate checkbox you could turn on and off, and it widens your audience considerably. So it does make the detailed targeting a little bit less good. So I would very much strongly recommend, as Facebook, I might have said Amazon before, as Facebook does more and more forcing us to do their automated targeting systems, I would strongly recommend really thinking a lot about your ad creative, the image specifically. You want to make sure your ad is always screaming book, because it may be that a lot of non-book people are seeing your ads. So keep that in mind as you're doing stuff now. It's getting harder and harder to ensure that you're actually targeting book people with your ads. And my belief in Facebook's ability to figure this stuff out for us has taken some blows lately, mainly from romance authors who use the automated targeting stuff and their ads will show to men. And I'm just like, really, Facebook? This seems like an obvious one. And like 95% of the people that saw their ads were men. And they're like, why am I not making any money? I'm like, that's why you're not making any money. That thing right there. Untargeted targeting. Yeah, the guys might be interested in. Yeah, that's the Steve Higgs, Scott Holmes methodology. And I've probably tested it out 60 or 70 times now. And I think twice we were able to make an untargeted ad that actually could outperform a targeted ad. They just don't work that much better. And yeah, so I recommend, if you really want to experiment with it, by all means experiment. Just make sure you're using attribution links and can track what's working, what's not. And then the other thing I would recommend, if you really want to do it, but you want to be a little bit more savvy about it, put in fiction books and novels as your targeting, so that you can at least narrow down to people who read fiction versus targeting everybody else, because only about 40% of the population is known by Facebook to read fiction. So you could imagine, if you just run a totally untargeted ad, half of the people that you're running to in the learning phase don't even read. But what if, like, by chance or chaos, because this is entirely possible, everybody that they target doesn't read? Because, you know, a wide open audience, say all women in the United States over 35 years old, is something like 89 million people. Or maybe it's like 112. It's up around 100 million. I forget that exact range. But an ad's learning phase only lasts for about 1,500 impressions. So 1,500 people out of 80 some odd million, 90 million people, it can show entirely to only people who don't read. And that doesn't help you out that much. So I do recommend at least narrowing down by readers. That's my thoughts there. Oh, that's awesome, Carmen. That's exciting. I've been promising some updates to Solaris for a while now, and I'd hope to get them out right after Vegas, but I've encountered some bugs. My alpha testers have found some bugs that we're working through. So I do have some cool updates coming. And then on Monday, Jill and I are having a planning meeting to get the next phase of Solaris kicked off. And we're also talking about hiring someone to help speed up the development too. So all super exciting things coming the way in Solaris too. But yeah, and also, like I said, keep your eyes peeled for a webinar that I do where I'm just going to build a Shopify site live, and you can hang out with me while I do it. Yeah, that's terrible, Larry. Don't do that. Don't let it do that. Switch to the original targeting system. It'll be better. And if they do, I demoed a way last week to exclude men with Facebook's new targeting system they're trying to pimp. And I'll probably do a more detailed video on that at some point in the future, just so that people have that handy. But for now, my thought is my response was to switch back to the old targeting system, so you can choose your gender that you're advertising to. Oh, good, that's great. Whew, good. I guess yeah, of course you would if you wouldn't have waited. Took me a second to remember who you were. I don't know why it took me that long. I should have recognized by the hat. But in a nutshell, the way that you can use the new targeting system and exclude a gender you don't want is you can actually make a custom audience of men and then exclude that custom audience. That exclude option is still the top part in the new targeting system for anyone who's savvy with that. But yeah, we'll do if they do force us to use the new system, like some people are wringing their hands, they might do. I'll make a video on how to sort of circumvent it a bit. It's kind of interesting because what you have to do in the new ways, you have to think about what are all the things that my readers are not, and then make an audience of that. Like what things exemplify the people who are not my readers, which is a very different way to think about things. It was a bit of a mind the first time I was doing it. So, all right. Well, I got a call that is kicking off in about 20 minutes, and I want to have the rest of my almonds without chomping and crunching and everything. So I am going to bid you all farewell. I hope you have a fabulous week, rest of your week and weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday. Ciao.